What is the future of Iran's government without Khamenei? Israel's killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was a big symbolic victory. Khamenei was the country's most senior figure, having ruled for 37 years. But politically, it may not change much. In fact, it might speed up changes that were already underway inside Iran's leadership. How? Khamenei's age, his declining health, and threats from the US and Israel had forced Iran's leaders to prepare for his death ahead of time. Leading this transition process is Iran's security chief Ali Larijani, who has taken on growing responsibilities from Khamenei in recent years as one of his most trusted and powerful figures. He has formed an interim leadership council until Iran appoints a new supreme leader. But that choice may not matter as much as we think. Why? Because the center of power in Iran has slowly shifted over recent decades, away from the clerics who led the 1979 revolution towards the commanders defending it. The most powerful group among these, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, a special branch of the armed forces whose role is to fight against foreign threats and domestic unrest. The Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s and Iran's regional interventions in the past 2 decades strengthened the IRGC's position in the country. Retired commanders would often get senior political posts, and the group is thought to control around 30 to 50% of Iran's economy, including its high-value energy exports. Because it is so involved in governing Iran, they will do anything to defend their authority. That is why so many Iranian protests haven't managed to topple the government. Instead, security forces have repeatedly chosen to fire on protesters rather than give up their privileges and step down. But they have also been frustrated at Khamenei's indecisive leadership. At key moments, like the assassination of former IRGC commander Qasem Soleimani or the 12-day war last June, Iran's response was often restrained. Some commanders argue that this is what motivated the US and Israel to attack again, because they believe that Iran wouldn't meaningfully respond. They wanted a more forceful leadership, one that could deter enemies abroad and develop a legitimacy at home that focused less on outdated religious doctrine like hijab codes and more on Iranian nationalism. While Khamenei spent long periods in hiding and his clerics grew old and out of touch, the IRGC has been growing its ranks with committed young fighters who want to see Iran's power revived. But they haven't gone unchallenged. Last June's 12-day war showed that years of support for militias across the region failed to stop the US and Israel from attacking. Iranians were not just angry at a government that repressed them at home, but one that squandered billions of dollars on conflicts abroad as the country's middle class vanished. The IRGC's reputation for protecting the country suffered heavily as a result. But as its brutal crackdown in the January protests showed, it's still vital to maintaining the government's power. It also faces competition from other power centers, like Iran's regular army, the Artesh, and powerful civilian and clerical figures. And it has its own internal factions, especially between older, more entrenched members and younger, more assertive ones. At the moment, all of these elites have united to preserve Iran's political system and the benefits that they get from it. But an intense US-Israeli bombing campaign is trying to sow divisions in that unity. They've killed an estimated 40 senior figures so far, including the defense minister, IRGC commander, and head of the defense council. They may be trying to convince at least some elites that it's better to jump ship and cut a deal like in Venezuela.
Lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death.
But at the moment, that outcome seems highly unlikely. Iran has undergone several decapitation strikes and knows how to refill commanders' posts and delegate decision-making to other officials. The Iranian state, meaning its bureaucrats, officials, soldiers, and others, doesn't need the supreme leader to keep things running. So the US and Israel would need to kill a system, not a single leader, to overthrow Iran's government. That means we may be entering an even more dangerous time, in which Iran's leadership is willing to take more risks to show that it is in control and to boost the legitimacy of its new leadership. After Khamenei's death, Iran widened strikes to include Oman and British bases in Cyprus and continued to fire at Israel and the Gulf states, while its allied militias attacked US bases in Iraq. And so, even while it appoints a new council and a new supreme leader, it's clear that the IRGC is still at the center of Iran's political system and determined to defend it. Whether the US and Israel's military pressure can change that determination is still unclear, but it definitely seems like they won't go down without a fight.